This is the second part of my F-Zero GX Gush Fest, but you don't need to have seen the first part if you just want to hear someone talk about story mode. Story mode. The bulk of content is probably in Grand Prix mode, at least there's more to do there, but story mode is my favorite element of the game. The story mode here is very unique compared to a lot of racing game single player mode. Most racing games just dump a lot of challenges at you and say, here you go. They are extremely repetitive, there's too many of them, and finishing all of them just isn't very satisfying. And there aren't really any characters or story, there's no reason why you're doing them. The game is just like, yeah, we're a video game, here's some challenges, have fun. Not F-Zero GX. There's only 9 missions in story mode, and you play as Captain Falcon, a super cool protagonist, with context provided for everything. Each challenge is extremely memorable, and most of the time you aren't doing something that could be replicated in Grand Prix. The story in story mode is set up as Black Shadow is being threatened by some guy named Deathborn and only has one more chance. It then cuts to Captain Falcon relaxing in a state-of-the-art training facility in Port Town, keeping his skills sharp. Mission 1 is a basic training mission. You collect some orbs on the track. It's not that interesting and it's extremely easy. Mission 2 ramps it up. You race Samurai Goro in a canyon with falling boulders everywhere. There are no laps, just go from one end to the other, and there's no health refills. You have to be smart about when to boost. As you can see, it's pretty hectic. It's tough just to survive the canyon, you have to beat your opponent too. Okay, I need to pause right here and say something. Every cutscene in story mode is hilarious. I love all of them. The weird movements, the acting, the dialogue, the fact very little of it makes sense. I love the intro to Mission 3. The song in the background is legendary. It's not on the soundtrack, and people were searching for rips of it for years until some hero put it on YouTube. Silver and Easton convinces Captain Falcon to enter a race in disguise so Nielsen can gamble on Falcon with presumably great odds because no one else knows who he is. First, I love how Captain Falcon gets dragged into this. He's not like, sure old man, you're broke, I'll help you win some money. He's just as confused as we are. The name he enters the race with is Famicom, which is nice. However, I have some questions. He's using the Blue Falcon. Did people not think something was up? Some random guy shows up in Captain Falcon's car and no one thinks that's weird? Whatever. Also, it makes me laugh how Captain Falcon is driving the Blue Falcon as his normal car on the street. He uses his incredibly advanced racing machine like it's a Honda. Imagine if Formula 1 drivers drove this around the neighborhood. I wonder what the speed limit is in the F-Zero universe. Falcon has to get pretty bored going that slow in the Blue Falcon. Where was I? Anyway. I do enjoy how Falcon's ridiculous outfit gets carried over to the standings during gameplay. So in this mission all you have to do is win a race, but it's on a unique track that's made only for this mission, and that track has a lot of jumps and sharp turns and it's pretty challenging. It's a step up from 2. Next mission is 4. Falcon fights Michael Chain's Bloody Chain Gang in a recreation of F-Zero X's Death Race. Death Race was an extremely popular mode in X, and I don't like how it was removed from the main game and put in a story mission here. Death Race should be self-explanatory, but in X you had to take out the 29 other racers in the fastest time possible. It was on a simple track, and it wasn't over until everyone was dead or you died. Here, all the enemies are reskins of Michael Chain, and you have a set time limit to take them out, and you can only use Falcon. Now, I like this mission a lot, but I think a version of this should have been playable in the main menu, where you could choose any racer you want and it kept track of your fastest times. I wasn't super into Death Race in X, it wasn't something I did over and over, but a lot of people were, and they should be able to play it from the main menu. Here, the goal is to take out Michael Chain, but you can only do that at either 6,000 kilometers before the end, or if you take out every other racer, he will slow down enough for you to kill him. He will always be ahead of you until those points. Anyway, it's a good mission, and probably the easiest other than the first. The next mission, however, is much harder. Black Shadow blows up some building Jody Summer is in, and Falcon has 45 seconds, unlimited boost, and only one goal in mind. Go as fast as possible and escape before he gets blown up. Like in Chapter 3, I like the detail of Jody's faces with Falcon on the side. Although it's weird how Jody looks completely different in the FMV, like why is she blonde there? This mission is all about perfection. It's short-term focused. For a short period of time, you can't make mistakes. It demands an intense amount of focus, but you get to relax and breathe during all your deaths and gather yourself for the next try. This makes 5 a complete opposite of 6. In Mission 6, you do speed. Not that speed, this speed. Blood Falcon and Black Shadow put a bomb on Captain Falcon's car that will explode if he drops below 8,000 kilometers. Whoa. Last mission was high-level skill for a short while. This one is an endurance test. It is a long track, and a lot of traffic on the road, and bumping into anything is almost certain death. There's a small window of error, but it is small. The actual driving things you have to do here aren't that difficult compared to most things in the game. Just remove the boost in the dirt, but it is so intense. I legitimately feel like I'm going to pass out when I play this mission. When you're coming up near the end, you feel the pressure. The sense of relief I felt when I beat it is indescribable. I just let out the biggest exhale and just sat there recovering. Hold up, time out. There's something I haven't mentioned yet. It actually took me years to get super into GX. I did some of the Grand Prix, but never touched Expert, and Story Mode took me years to complete. Like, I think I got the game in 2015 maybe even earlier, but I didn't beat Story Mode until 2018. I would do like a mission or two, then get stuck on the next one for a while and stop playing for like a year. I remember 6 in particular made me quit for a while after I beat it. I was just so relieved and I didn't want to dive back into this world. A similar thing happened when I first played the Resident Evil remake. It was my first classic RE, and kind of my first horror game. I was dumb and saved too much and ran out of ink ribbons and had to go on this huge trek from doing the last part of the mansion, through the woods to Lisa Trevor's cabin, and the first part of the residence unable to save. When I finally made it, I was so relieved, but like that hour and a half of playtime with no save made me so stressed out that I just didn't want to pick up the game again. Obviously I overreacted, but still. Anyway, that's how Chapter 6 of GX made me feel, like I'm playing the Resident Evil remake. Yeah, it's intense. Let's get back to the relevant topics. Anyway, the skill stuff you do here isn't that tough, it's just so pressure-filled. I love the contrast between Mission 5 and 6, how they're back-to-back. One tip for this mission to make it easier is set your speed all the way to acceleration. For pretty much every other circumstance in the game, I use max speed, but here max acceleration helps and gives you more room for error. This mission ends with Captain Falcon conveniently getting the bomb off with a crane. Next is the F-Zero Grand Prix. It's called Grand Prix, but it's only one race. This mission is kind of legendary or infamous, if you will, about its difficulty. There's a popular essay rant about this mission that gets passed around whenever GX gets brought up. Black Shadow is why. This delightful young man has about twice the health as normal racers. That means he can boost twice as often. Without abusing some of the more advanced techniques, he's almost impossible to beat. Like, seriously, I cannot emphasize enough how rough and malarkey Black Shadow is here. Thing is, I think the difficulty of this mission is a little overstated. Yeah, if you don't kill him, then Chapter 7 is borderline impossible and super frustrating, but if you do kill him, then it gets, not easy, but doable. Blood Falcon here also has a lesser form of Shadow's AI, so you probably need to kill him too. But if you kill them both, it's very beatable. I don't think Mission 7 is close to the hardest mission in the game. So after you beat this mission, Falcon wins the Grand Prix belt, and Deathborn appears. Now Captain Falcon is to race him in hell for the belt. It feels like the end. It's a great climax for the game. There's nothing fancy here, it's just a duel against Deathborn. There's a ton of mines on the track, and it's obviously a super unique track. Oh, and if you're wondering if you can't kill Deathborn, well, it might be possible, but I attacked him a bunch and it did nothing. I think the game raises health a ton, but he doesn't constantly cheat like Shadow did. Not much to say about this one, but I actually struggled more with 8 than I did with 7. So that's the end. Triumphant music plays and Falcon has the belts. Let's analyze some of the cutscenes and that all-important F-Zero lore. So the prologue has Deathborn just own Black Shadow. He's in control and just makes Shadow look weak. I don't really like Deathborn because of this fact. I feel like Black Shadow should be the main F-Zero bad guy. If they have to have another villain, then they should have Black Shadow be the villain all the way up to the reveal, and the Deathborn appears and says he's the one behind everything. Showing us this at the start just makes us not respect Black Shadow. Anyway, if there's any F-Zero media in the future, I would prefer Deathborn to not exist and Black Shadow to be the main bad guy. Chapter 1, nothing to talk about. Chapter 2, it says Falcon chases a bounty to Red Canyon, but Falcon doesn't really do anything. He just leaves Goro there after he wins. There wasn't really a point. Why go out there if you weren't going to bring him in? Whatever. And there's not really any reason for Falcon to agree to the race except for he doesn't back down from a challenge. Falcon gains nothing, there's a lot to lose. Alright, let's move on. I already talked about Chapter 3. Chapter 4 and 5 don't have much. On 6, I love how Black Shadow says this line.
Falcon, you've come to die. I needn't have wasted time looking for you then.
He takes a lot of crap in this game, but this is one cool moment. It's just so casual. Black Shadow just kind of summons Blood Falcon from what looks like inside Captain Falcon. This brings up some questions. Blood Falcon is a clone created from leftover Falcon DNA after the big crash. Does Shadow, control him? Does he just exist to be a Black Shadow henchman? Does he lead his own life? And the way he appears from inside Falcon is weird. Does Captain Falcon have to be around for Blood to be summoned? Does Blood Falcon have his own personality and do things, or is he just a servant to Black Shadow? That's what I wonder. I wonder about this a lot. Also, you really hear the Run of Heavens in Blood Falcon's voice. Captain and Blood Falcon in this game were voiced by Eric Kelso, who I know from the voice of Gaizong in Shenmue 1 and Run of Heavens in Shenmue 2. After beating 7, Deathborn appears and kills Black Shadow. Maybe he just teleports him away, but looks like he's dead. Deathborn is the Grand Prix champion of the Underworld. There's an Underworld F-Zero we never knew about? Is there 29 other racers to compete in it? That sounds rad. I want to see that. The Underworld should have been the unlockable cup you get after you beat Story Mode. Screw Diamond Cup. But if Deathborn's plan was to get the belt, why didn't he just enter the race? What's the point of using Shadow? You're the champ, Deathborn. Have some pride. Do it yourself. Or both of you in there, so you have more chances to get the belt. It's not like he wants to keep himself a secret. He shows up in front of everybody at the end and challenges Falcon to a race. Man, if I was in the crowd there, I'd be shook. First of all, apparently the Underworld exists, and I gotta worry about that. And now Captain Falcon's gonna race the champ in the Underworld? That sounds awesome. Why can't I watch that? How am I supposed to go to work tomorrow knowing Captain Falcon's gonna race the devil and I can't watch it? What if he loses and dies? I'm just gonna have to wait around and see if Captain Falcon comes back, and after a couple of days if I don't hear anything, I just have to assume he's dead? He's a 2-time Grand Prix champion, my hero. This sucks. Imagine after the 2016 NBA Finals, the devil appeared and challenges LeBron and they were playing the game in hell. I'd pay at least $20 to watch that. The fate of the world might be in J.R. Smith's hands and I just have to accept that and can't watch? What the hell? Anyway, Captain Falcon arrives on Death's Door, and wait a minute, how did he get there? Did he use Google Maps? Is there some sort of portal he went through? I'm extremely curious on the journey here. Anyway, Deathborn finally explains the plot. There is 2 Grand Prix belts, and when they combine, they have immeasurable power and can destroy the world. It's unclear if Deathborn plans to harness this power and take over the world, or if he's just going to blow it up. Doesn't matter, Falcon wins, and it seems like there's a bit of an abrupt ending. Or is it? There is a Chapter 9, and if you thought they couldn't top racing the devil in hell, then you're dead wrong. They have Captain Falcon race the creators of the universe in some sort of alternate dimension. How do you top the devil? That's right, with God. Or gods in this case. These are the creators who live inside the F-Zero Grand Prix champion belt, because in this universe, of course that's where they'd be. They are impressed with Captain Falcon beating Deathborn, calling him their best creation, and it's ambiguous if they're calling Deathborn that because they created everything, or if Deathborn's I'm so sick of saying the word Deathborn. Deathborn's sole purpose was to be a physical entity to serve the creators. They say they're going to take Falcon's soul from his body and have it serve him, so it's possible Deathborn was a Grand Prix champion from long ago, and then was forced to serve the creators, and that's what made him evil. Maybe he wants to use the belt to destroy the creators and free himself, or have a new world where he is the creator. Whatever. The important thing is, the creators of the universe challenged Captain Falcon to a race, and this is his response.
You think you can beat me? No way!
Captain Falcon is so cool. He wasn't just like, nah, I got this. Or, no, I'll take you down. He laughs in the face at the mere thought the creators of the universe can beat him. He is amazing. Forever he will be my hero. What else is there to say? So, gameplay-wise, it's basically racing a staff ghost, and I have no problem with that. I don't think it's necessary to design a new vehicle for them, and it'd be extremely weird if you could race as the creators in Grand Prix. I think it fits better story-wise for them to just be a copy of the Blue Falcon. The track here is super funky and it's pretty tough. There's no walls and there's one turn in particular that's pretty rough. But I think 9's easier than 7 and 8. The creators aren't super tough opponents, it's mainly the track. Once you get that down, not so bad. The ending has Falcon's victory cleanse the spirits from the belt. Honestly, I'm kind of disappointed by the ending. Nothing gets explained or wrapped up. Falcon takes his helmet off, but we don't get to see his face. It is pretty cool though, after beating the creators of the universe, he just walks off and says nothing. Super casual about the whole thing. Okay, hold up, unimportant question. All of my other questions have been of the utmost importance, but this one, I'll admit, isn't. Falcon takes his helmet off, and you see the visor is just black, the eye holes are empty. Where did the white of his eyes come from? I just assumed they were built into the mask. If anyone has any information about this, please tell me. Story mode is done, and your reward for beating that gauntlet is one of the funniest credit songs for a game ever. I love it. It is so good. It is simultaneously hilarious and somewhat inspiring. Quick list, the funniest video game credit songs ever made are F-Zero GX, Resident Evil 2 B Ending, Symphony of the Night, God Hand, and King's Quest 6 in no particular order. All of them but King's Quest 6 rule. That one just sucks. So that is F-Zero GX's story mode. I love it. The gameplay challenges are really cool, the cutscenes are super fun to watch, and you get some great Falcon moments. Despite this, I understand criticisms of it. The characters don't really get expanded much, it doesn't make a lot of sense, and it doesn't really expand the world of F-Zero. I don't feel like I understand how this place works more. What I learned from story mode is Captain Falcon is cool, which I already knew. It could have made the F-Zero universe a really interesting place in a cool sci-fi world. It doesn't really do that for normal people. It's mainly a bunch of filler and then weird things happen at the end with new characters who don't really have much to do with F-Zero. Let's talk about optional difficulty modes. Each story mode mission has a hard and very hard mode in case you didn't think they were tough enough. If you beat a mission on hard, you get a custom ship part. If you beat it on very hard, you get a character from the arcade game F-Zero AX, which is a super cool reward. I actually really like a lot of the AX characters, and this was the motivation for me to try out very hard mode. And you know what? It ended up being too hard for me, I couldn't do it. Psych! I did it! I can't believe it! If you had told me at any point in time before actually doing it that I would beat all of F-Zero GX on very hard, I would have thought you were a lunatic. Normal was extremely difficult. I had it in my head that very hard is only for like insane people. Let's very quickly run through some of the differences on very hard. Hard isn't that much different, it's just slightly harder. Very hard is where it gets interesting. So mission 2, 3, 4, and 6 are relatively easy. I didn't struggle with any of these on very hard, though weirdly I did struggle with 3 on hard. But these are entirely doable. 6 raises the speed you have to be out before you blow up, and the rest don't change that much. I saved 9 for last so I could triumphantly listen to the credits after doing everything, and it also wasn't bad. Tougher than 2, 3, 4, 6, but not bad. 7 is interesting. You have to do 5 laps instead of 3, so that makes it more of an endurance test and is harder, but I'm a little conflicted about how tough this mission is. I mentioned earlier that 7 has a bit of a reputation for being unfair, and that extends even more so to the harder difficulties. But like I said before, if you take out Black Shadow and Blood Falcon, then it's very doable. It still took me a ton of tries and was rough, but it wasn't unfair. If you do 7 without playing violent, it's probably the worst thing ever, but if you tell Shadow to screw off, then it's only like the 3rd toughest mission in the game. 8's Race vs Deathborn is the 2nd toughest for me. Like 7, the number of laps is increased to 5, and the number of mines and lava strips here really drain your health on this track. There's no tricks or cheap things in this mission, it's just really tough. Mission 1 is the mission that changes the most. It is super easy on both normal and hard, but they really change it up for very hard. There are 30 orbs on the track, and the time limit is very strict, so you pretty much have to constantly boost on lap 2 and 3 just to finish. And the orbs are so spread out that there is very little room for error. It's really hard to figure out how you collect the orb. It takes precise routing just to make it possible to complete. It took me a long time just to figure out how to go about beating this mission. I started off with this mission because I really wanted the AX race you get for beating it, and I think this mission actually took me the 2nd longest time to beat. I'm going to rank it here because once you get the routing down, I don't think it's as tough as the others, it just takes forever to figure out what to do. This mission is actually why I beat very hard. I wanted Phoenix really bad, and once I beat it, I found a lot of people saying 1 was one of the toughest missions. Then I beat 2, 3, and 4 easily and was like, well, I've already beaten half of them, now I gotta finish this whole thing. Time for the number 1 challenge in all of F-Zero GX. Mission 5, Save Jodie on very hard. I honestly hate this mission. You know, I've mentioned a few times before on certain things that you need to be perfect. I was exaggerating. You can make some minor mistakes. Here, you need to be perfect. By perfect, I don't mean avoid all walls, don't hit anything. I mean go through everything perfectly and never slow down for a second, hit all boost areas and constantly be boosting. There were many times I did this mission where I didn't feel like I could do any better and still failed. I can't count how many times I did everything right, jumped off the ramp with the door open, and still died. I hate this. This was the only time in the entire game I was tempted to learn an advanced technique, momentum throttling in this case. The requirements for this mission are too much. When I did beat it, I didn't feel like I did any better than many of my failed attempts. I hate this. I kinda wanna replay very hard mode, but this mission makes me not want to. Maybe I'll just skip it, but that'd make me feel bad. I hate this. I hate this. So, F-Zero GX on very hard. Completely insane, but also not as bad as I was expecting. Maybe I just don't want to give myself credit. If I could do it, then it must not be that bad. But if you have persistence, it is entirely possible. You don't need to know any advanced techniques to beat everything this game has to offer. They're just for some extra fun. In conclusion, try out normal, but don't sweat if you can't do very hard. While I clearly love story mode, if it sounds like too much malarkey, you don't even need to touch it and still have an awesome F-Zero GX experience with just Grand Prix. Don't let the difficulty of story mode scare you from trying out the incredible experience that is F-Zero GX.